Hello, my crossover criminals. Welcome back to ComixFM, and today we're diving headfirst into one of the bloodiest, goriest, most savage crossovers in comic book history. This is Witchblade vs Aliens vs Darkness vs Predator, an all-out slaughterfest brought to you by the unholy alliance of Image, Top Cow, and Dark Horse Comics. Xenomorphs ripping spines, predators claiming skulls, the darkness unleashing hellspawn, and the Witchblade tearing through anything in her path. This isn't just a crossover, it's carnage incarnate. In this video, we're covering both the brutal Overkill storyline and its monstrous sequel, Mindhunter. So smash that subscribe button, gear up, and let's dive into the madness. Act 1. Overkill. Chapter 1. Dead Heat. Police received a report of gunfire at 351 Blacker Street and dispatched nearby units. The crime scene was already soaked in blood, with corpses littered around and a wrecked NYPD cruiser nearby. Two officers, casually sipping milkshakes, responded to the call. Meanwhile, in a different location, someone was violently decapitated. His severed hand flew through the air. Despite claiming proximity, the officers were far from the scene. As they drove off, one joked about going there for the air conditioning. Inside a warehouse, a terrified man ran for his life, breathlessly praying. Before he could escape, something savagely struck him, leaving his body torn apart. Another thug frantically struggled to open a locked door. As he turned, he came face to face with a monstrous xenomorph. He panicked and opened fire as the creature lunged, jaws wide. The officers soon arrived and approached the warehouse. One called in, confirming shots fired and requesting immediate backup. Inside, the last surviving thug begged for mercy, offering anything to be spared. The xenomorph showed no emotion and closed in. When the officers entered, they shouted for everyone to drop their weapons, only to witness the man's mutilated corpse and the towering alien beast. One of them whispered in horror, "Holy Jesus." Elsewhere, another warehouse was a complete bloodbath. Bodies were sprawled across crates and pallets, each killed execution-style with gunshots to the head. The lone survivor, Cake, nervously addressed Jackie a staccato, trying to play it off lightheartedly. His fear soon turned to aggression as he shouted threats. Jackie, unfazed, responded with dry sarcasm, claiming he was trembling inside. Then Jackie revealed a twisted device, a music box puppet rigged to a shotgun aimed at Cake's head. He told Cake to sing the correct song, the Godfather theme, or be executed. He gave one final warning. Name who killed Frankie Mancini, or die. Cake, with a shotgun rigged to his head by Jackie's music box, refused to talk. He mocked Jackie, claiming he wasn't scared of a peckerwood. Jackie sarcastically reminded him that the timer was still ticking. Cake insisted he couldn't snitch on one of his own crew. Jackie, unimpressed, pressed again for a name. Panicked, Cake finally broke. He confessed that Nimmo was the one who killed Frankie Mancini. Jackie smirked and told him he'd just earned a reprieve. As Jackie walked away, Cake yelled that he was supposed to be untied. He reminded Jackie of his promise. Jackie ignored him and left. Cake screamed after him, calling him a dead man. Outside, Detective Sarah Pizzini was waiting. She casually asked Jackie if he was busy. Jackie teased her, saying it was always a pleasure to see her alive and breathing. Sarah got to the point. 2 patrols had found a warehouse full of slaughtered Colombians. She hinted that Jackie might know something, noting how his uncle didn't tolerate gang activity. Jackie brushed her off with sarcasm just as an explosion erupted in the background. He played it cool, joking that it must have been something he ate. Then, with a grin, he said, "Cake." Back inside, the music box mechanism finally triggered. The shotgun discharged, not killing Cake outright, but blowing his genitals off. Later, Sarah said the precinct was overwhelmed. Body bags were piling up. Jackie flirted, joking about riding with her, as she ordered him into the car. She explained how the heat had everyone on edge and the murder rate was skyrocketing. 12 homicides since Wednesday with no slowdown. The chief had issued a crackdown. Sarah jokingly promoted Jackie to confidential informant. As they drove, Jackie complained he didn't know anything. Sarah mocked him, teasing his attitude. Meanwhile, thermal vision revealed someone was watching them. Sarah said Jackie had drawn the short straw, and reminded him he still owed her from before. Jackie and Sarah walked through the city when Jackie paused, sensing something. Sarah asked what it was, and Jackie said he could have sworn he saw something. On a nearby rooftop, a shimmering, barely visible figure watched them. Jackie felt a sudden chill, describing it as strange. Sarah didn't see anything but admitted she felt it too, like an itch she couldn't scratch. Jackie brushed it off, saying it wasn't his problem. It was hers, as the detective. Sarah insisted it wasn't just police work. She said the Witchblade had been restless recently, and that Jackie's darkness should have warned him of an impending danger. Jackie finally admitted something had been affecting his powers. The darkness had been screaming at him for days. He agreed to help her, but only under one condition. One night in the sack. Meanwhile, a gangster stood outside his house dealing drugs to a man in a car. As he waved goodbye, his friend kept watch behind him with a gun. The dealer signaled everything was fine. Then suddenly, something sliced his wrist. In a blink, his hand dropped, and so did half his head. The lookout shouted, "Trouble," but he was immediately impaled through the chest by a massive blade. The gang inside rushed out, guns blazing, trying to locate the attacker. Gunfire lit up the alley, as the surviving men shouted that they saw a Jamaican. One mocked the idea of escape, calling him a dead man. But in the shadows, the predator crouched in hiding. It activated its cloak, while the thugs opened fire in every direction. Despite the chaos, the predator stayed untouched, calm, hidden, and waiting to strike again. The thugs searched a dark alley thinking they had their target cornered. One claimed he had shot him, but another said there was nothing there. From above, the cloaked predator observed them through thermal vision. Suddenly, one of the men saw a figure lunging and shouted to Gary. Gary turned and fired his weapon in a panic. Out of the darkness, a massive xenomorph burst forward with a blood-curdling screech, crashing through crates and debris. The gang opened fire, bullets tearing the air. One thug was killed instantly. His glasses shattered and his face exploded in gore. Another tried to escape but was seized and bitten savagely. The predator watched through thermal vision as yet another thug screamed in agony, being brutally torn apart. Meanwhile, in a hospital room, two thugs argued about the attack. One insisted it wasn't the Jamaicans, it was the Guinea. The other dismissed that theory, saying the mob wouldn't risk getting blood on their suits. They concluded it must have been a drug deal gone wrong. Cake, covered in bandages and seething with rage, interrupted. He didn't want speculation. He wanted vengeance. He shouted for them to prepare for a freaking bloodbath. One thug tried to reason with him, saying the real issue was dock workers swapping drugs with baby powder. Cake didn't care. He barked orders and demanded unquestioning loyalty. He yelled that when he gave a command they were to follow without question. He screamed, "Get estacado," and sent them out. As the two exited, they joked, calling him Little Debbie. Cake screamed from his bed, correcting them. "It's Cake." Meanwhile, Jackie and Sarah drove through the city. Jackie joked about wasting 2 days driving around. Sarah teased him and offered to stop at a store. On nearby TV screens, footage from the predator's thermal vision appeared, showing a man screaming. Sarah urgently asked Jackie where that door was. He guessed the dock warehouses, and she hit the gas. At the location, Sarah changed clothes behind the car. Jackie lit a smoke as she told him to stop playing games and hurry up. As Sarah changed into her undergarments, Jackie joked that it was not a time and place for getting cozy. But Sarah cut him, asking him to not be an idiot all the time. She couldn't afford to tear open all her clothes every time she used the Witchblade. She transformed as the Witchblade armor crawled over her whole body. They slowly walked inside. Jackie, now in his darkness garb, and the Darklings, followed Witchblade into the warehouse. One of the Darklings mockingly asked Darkness where they were headed. Darkness replied they should just follow the woman in metal lingerie, though he suspected it was a goose chase. He questioned why they were even involved, suggesting maybe it was just a moon cycle. Meanwhile, the Darklings sat on the floor, giggling at thermal imprints, marveling at the funny colors. But Witchblade looked up, and, alarmed, whispered, "Oh God." Above them, skinned human corpses were hanging. One Darkling cried out in horror about the stripped flesh. Another warned Darkness to look behind him, just as one of the Darklings was abruptly decapitated by a xenomorph's tail. The massive creature emerged with a hiss. The xenomorph lunged at Witchblade. She countered, severing its arm, but its acidic blood sprayed everywhere, burning through her armor and splattering onto Darkness. Darkness recoiled in pain, shouting that it was acid. The xenomorph shrieked and fled. Witchblade regrouped. Darkness, still seething, asked what kind of drug dealer bled acid. Witchblade cut him off and ordered the group to move. The creature had escaped to the catwalk above. Witchblade directed them to flank it from both sides. As they gave chase, one Darkling joked it looked like their buddy Snoop's granny. Another quipped that Snoop's granny resembled an armadillo's foreskin. But then, they noticed Snoop himself lying in a pool of acid, his body melting from exposure. His head, detached, weakly joked, "What kind of acid are they selling nowadays?" The team spotted the xenomorph again. Darkness shouted for the Darklings to attack. One begged to tear it a new hole, and another declared, "Die for the glorious Darkling Empire." Suddenly, a blast of light stripped away Darkness's power, reverting him back into Jackie Estacado. Through the clearing smoke, a predator emerged and aimed its laser cannon at Jackie. Jackie muttered, "Well now, you're not Detective Pizzini, are you?" Chapter 2. Assault and Butchery. It was raining heavily as police arrived at a gruesome crime scene. Blood trailed through the alleyways and into the sewers. Body parts were scattered everywhere, with one severed arm floating near a storm drain. Two detectives arrived. One sarcastically joked, "Well, at least the weather broke." At the site, crime scene investigators reported they couldn't find all the body parts. The red-haired detective cracked crude jokes, wondering if the ME liked puzzles and if they might end up with a leg short. He mocked the situation, asking a grieving mother whether her son had left the house with one or two legs. The younger detective questioned if it was his imagination or if things always went to hell whenever Pizzini was involved. They suspected trouble from the moment they received the call. Inside the ambulance, they questioned Jackie Estacado. The younger detective asked if the waiting had helped jog his memory. Jackie, visibly exhausted and holding his head, said he was still groggy and needed forgiveness for not remembering much. Outside, the detectives continued pressing him. Jackie joked that he didn't know if he remembered anything at all, blaming it on a blow to the head. He then suggested they go ask Detective Pizzini instead. Pizzini sat silently on a pile of tires, wearing a coat over her damaged costume, looking worn out and contemplative. In a brutal, blood-soaked flashback, it was shown what happened last night. Xenomorph snarled. Images of slaughter, including decapitated bodies, blood splatters, and severed limbs, filled her thoughts. Jackie screamed in agony, and Witchblade shouted, "Jackie." On the night before, Witchblade rushed in, yelling Jackie's name. Jackie lay on the ground and nervously introduced her to the predator, calling it Ugly Jerk with a spear ready. Pizzini, now in full Witchblade armor, calmly told the predator to back off before anyone got hurt. The predator silently loomed. Witchblade activated her armor, the organic tendrils wrapping tightly around her body as the transformation completed with a hiss. The predator readied its stance, but Witchblade's tendrils lashed out with speed, snapping the shaft of its spear. Just then, the predator fired a plasma beam, but Jackie dodged. Witchblade struck again, slicing off its hand. The predator screamed as green blood sprayed, then leapt away to retreat. Jackie stood beside her and watched the predator flee. He quipped that these enemies had a real problem keeping their limbs and asked how she managed that. Witchblade admitted she didn't know. It just happened. She wasn't even sure if it was her or the Witchblade acting on its own. Elsewhere, Cake relaxed in a living room, chatting with another man. He was told that Estacado had been seen heading into the dockside warehouses with a hot Italian woman. Smirking, Cake said, "Then I guess we're eating Italian tonight." Back at the docks, Witchblade and Darkness moved stealthily over the rooftops. Witchblade wondered aloud if the Witchblade or the Darkness might have encountered these alien beings before. She even questioned whether the Witchblade had been designed specifically to fight them. Jackie, ever the flirt, made a crude joke, but she told him to rein it in until they figured out what was going on. They compared notes. The first creature seemed bestial and instinct-driven, while the second clearly used tactics to lure them in. Jackie suspected they were dealing with two distinct species. Meanwhile, In a warehouse, the Darklings played cards and drank beer. One asked what the boss was doing. Another cracked that Darkness was probably trying to hook up with the cop or get himself killed by alien freaks. Witchblade suddenly grew tense. She could feel their presence. Darkness noticed an odd light. As the crates started to shake, he warned, "I've got a bad feeling about this." With a loud crash, the crates exploded open. "Look out!" he shouted.
The Predator and the Xenomorph stood locked in a tense standoff, both hissing amid swirling smoke and eerie light. Watching from the shadows, Darkness muttered, "Well, screw me. The Missing Hands gang is here." Suddenly, the Xenomorph charged toward Witchblade. She shouted at Darkness to move aside, but instead, Darkness stepped forward, summoning his Darklings. "Not this time, Toots," he growled. The mischievous creatures leapt into action, swarming the Xenomorph. One chomped down and quipped, "Tastes like chicken," as the others clawed and bit into the creature, eliciting a pained shriek. Just then, the Predator activated a powerful floodlight. The beam disrupted Jackie's Darkness armor, forcing him back into human form. Jackie cursed at the Predator, yelling for him to quit with the blinding lights. Witchblade, preparing to strike again, warned Jackie to stay out of the beam. But as she turned, she noticed Jackie wasn't responding. "Jackie? Did you hear me? Estacado?" she called out. Jackie was shown unconscious, strapped to a high-tech lab table. Monitors surrounded him, displaying bizarre alien visuals. A Predator loomed nearby, silently watching. Jackie slowly regained consciousness and groaned. Then snapped, "Hey, enough already." Looking around at the disturbing setup, Jackie sarcastically asked if this was some kind of messed-up documentary. He mockingly addressed the Predator as Bob Marley's ghost, calling him either the silent, strong type or just suicidal. Then Jackie caught sight of a robotic probe shifting into position behind him. Alarmed, he yelled, "Hey, you ain't doing what I think you're doing back there, are you?" The probe powered up with a loud whir. Jackie's eyes widened in horror as he screamed, "Oh hell!" Back at the warehouse, Witchblade fiercely battled the Xenomorph. Crates exploded around her as the creature lunged. She tore into it with her living armor, slicing and clawing, until the alien collapsed in a mass of hissing acid and torn flesh. Witchblade stood in front of the dead Xenomorph, panting. She wondered what kind of mutant it was. Suddenly, Cake appeared with his group of thugs and praised Witchblade for being pretty intense. He assumed that she was Estacado's woman. She warned him that another one of those creatures was still out there, and that he'd better run. When he grabbed her and acted threatening, she coolly told him to walk away and pretend he hadn't seen anything if he wanted to survive. Take told her to get moving with them. He wanted her boyfriend, Estacado. Meanwhile, inside the lab, Jackie screamed that he would feed the Predator's head to the fish. He shouted in pain as the annual probe continued. The Predator heard a noise and got ready, cloaking himself. Cake and his crew walked in with Witchblade. Witchblade kept shouting that Jackie wasn't her boyfriend. Suddenly, she noticed something shocking. Jackie Estacado was restrained in a strange machine, and there was an ongoing probe. Cake laughed his guts out, teasing her and the others with crude remarks about Jackie leaving a girl in the alley while engaging in kinky activities. Jackie screamed at them, warning that if any word of this got out, he would kill everyone, and that included Sarah. But suddenly, one of the thugs' heads was blown open by a plasma blast. The others started firing frantically. Jackie shouted at Witchblade to kill the lights, which she did. The armor took over Jackie, and the darkness stood in his full glory. He addressed the Predator. "Time for you to bend the hell over, 'cause I'm gonna show you how it feels." The Predator kept firing plasma blasts, killing the thugs. Witchblade did the best she could to shield them. As it fired a massive blast, Witchblade blocked it, but she could not hold much longer, and they were all thrown away. Cake yelled at his thugs to shoot the monster, demanding they stop running and shoot straight. But before he could finish his sentence, his upper body exploded from a plasma blast. Darkness charged forward with his Darklings, all targeting the Predator. Jackie growled that they should remember the worst thing they'd ever done to someone and multiply it by 10. That was the level of pain he wanted inflicted. The Darklings lunged at the Predator, clawing and ripping into its flesh. As a last resort, the Predator launched another light flare to repel the creatures. But it was too late. The Darklings had already torn the Predator in half and devoured its lower body. When the darkness receded, Jackie stood over the Predator's corpse, reveling in the destruction. Sarah approached and asked if he was responsible. Jackie shrugged it off as an accident. She quipped about the probe, but Jackie warned her not to push it.
As they walked away from the battlefield, a glowing vortex formed ahead of them. From within the swirl, a massive predator elder emerged, flanked by others. Sarah muttered a nervous prayer. Jackie turned to her as she urgently whispered for him to look. The elder activated a device with a sharp click. A blinding beam shot out, and Sarah's eyes widened. Her pupils dilated as visions flooded her mind. She saw ancient scenes, warriors on horseback, pharaohs in golden halls, and primitive humans wielding alien weapons, all connected to the Witchblade. Breathless, Sarah confirmed she was okay. She told Jackie the Witchblade was far older than she had imagined. The predators, she said, were hunters who had visited Earth for centuries. Then, in a surprising gesture, the predators raised their arms in a salute, cheering for Sarah and her Witchblade armor. The predator elders retrieved the fallen body of their warrior and disappeared through a glowing portal in the tunnel. Rain began to pour as Jackie sarcastically called it perfect timing. He, Sarah, and others stood amidst the carnage of slain thugs. Jackie asked Sarah if, now that he was a police informant, she would write the report or if he had to. At present, the officer approached Sarah, asking if they should detain Jackie or let him go. Sarah, soaked and exhausted, said to take his statement and let him go. She smiled faintly, saying Jackie had faced enough pain for one night. Act 2. Mindhunter.
Chapter 1. Nightmares and Dreamscapes. Sarah Pazzini attended a glamorous New Year's Eve party undercover, dancing with a suspect named Pellegrini. She reminisced about her father and mused about how her job wasn't as glamorous as portrayed in movies. Outside, her backup team listened from a surveillance van, playfully complaining about their uncomfortable conditions. As midnight approached, Sarah felt a strange sensation. Sudden heat and dizziness, her Witchblade powers briefly surfacing. Pellegrini noticed her discomfort, suggesting they head to his suite for champagne. Sarah played along, knowing she'd arrest him afterward. In his suite, Pellegrini continued flirting, making suggestive comments as they drank champagne. However, he suddenly choked, excused himself, and ran off coughing violently. Sarah became increasingly confused, noticing odd gaps in her memory. She worried that something was wrong. She couldn't see the surveillance van outside and realized Hank, her usual partner, had retired years ago. Moreover, the Witchblade's voices were silent, which unsettled her further. Just then, a voice announced, "Good."
Room service, and Sarah turned sharply. Immediately recognizing Jackie Estacado, she confronted him. Jackie stood armed, having already shot Pellegrini's bodyguards. He coldly instructed Sarah to leave, warning her to forget she was ever there. Sarah defiantly told Jackie that he'd wasted his talents on the bodyguards and warned him against harming Pellegrini, threatening him with arrest if he didn't leave immediately. Jackie criticized Sarah for working with the feds and using surveillance tech like a castor chip in her necklace. He claimed he was doing her a favor by taking out Pellegrini instead of letting him rot in a federal prison. Meanwhile, Pellegrini stumbled into the bathroom, coughing up blood. As Jackie taunted Sarah about her dark side, she insisted this was strictly business. Pellegrini overheard their conversation. While Jackie accused Sarah of being off her game, Pellegrini armed himself with a gun. Sarah ordered Jackie to leave. He mocked her intensity, asking if she was playing good cop or bad cop. She warned that if her friend, the Witchblade, intervened, everyone nearby would die screaming. As the Witchblade activated, Sarah asserted she didn't need its help to handle him. Jackie, amused, said she was just turning him on. Suddenly, Pellegrini burst back into the room, coughing violently. He fired his gun as Witchblade and Jackie reacted. He continued to choke grotesquely and fired again. Witchblade leapt into action. A bodyguard Jackie hadn't finished off attacked him from behind. Jackie summoned the darkness armor and hurled the bodyguard into Pellegrini. Amid the chaos, Witchblade realized she wasn't hallucinating. Her mind was clear. Then, from Pellegrini's chest exploded a grotesque chest-burster, tearing through the bodyguard who had fallen in front of him. Witchblade declared the bad news. Aliens had reached New York. These creatures were driven to breed and required a network of hosts. As the Witchblade fully activated, Jackie transformed into his darkness form, surrounded by his gremlin-like darklings. When the chestburster tried to flee, the darkling shouted it was heading for Central Park. Witchblade urged darkness to move. He reverted to human form and called in cleanup, sarcastically apologizing for the mess. Witchblade grew frustrated that Jackie was calling a bagman for credit. Jackie responded by threatening to leak Pellegrini's witness protection status. When Sarah asked if he'd interfere with her job, he countered, "Did she ever get in the way of his?" Sarah and Jackie walked down 54th Street, off 5th Avenue, bickering about control and each other's motives. Jackie flirted playfully, but Sarah pushed back, threatening to expose him. Suddenly, they came upon a horrific scene, corpses strung up like trophies. Sarah realized the surveillance van had been turned into a meat locker. Someone had killed her team, even taking their spinal vertebrae as trophies. Jackie recognized it as a message. Maybe the Predator was paying his respect to Sarah after what she did to him in their earlier encounter. Sarah theorized that if a Predator had brought the alien to Earth, it wouldn't need to make such a statement. She recalled thinking Hank, her dad's old partner, had been in the van, but remembered he retired years ago. Things didn't add up. Jackie denied anything was wrong, but Sarah pushed back. Firstly, nobody sweated on New Year's Eve. And moreover, everything felt distant to her. The Predators had once honored humanity. The aliens were supposed to be extinct. This was something else entirely. Suddenly, laser sights landed on Sarah. Jackie transformed into darkness and screamed, hit the pavement. An explosion obliterated the van. Darkness leaped, pulling Witchblade with him. The Darklings appeared and jumped with them, but Witchblade still felt something was off, like they were being toyed with. In Central Park, a Predator emerged in the shadows, but there was something else. The ground was going up in waves, and a tunnel was being dug. The Predator stood at the entrance and looked at Darkness and Witchblade, as if taunting them. Darkness pointed out that this was a new Predator, a female one. As they chased the Predator, Darkness activated the Dark Vines and tried to catch her, but the Predator escaped. They crawled through the tunnel and tumbled through a surreal void, and landed in a grotesque alien landscape, as if a dreamscape. Witchblade saw the face of a monstrous figure, urging her to wake up. The figure taunted them with visions of alien eggs, the Overmorphs. As the face-huggers and chest-bursters surrounded them, Darkness warned her. Witchblade realized the figure's voice had changed, but the arrogance behind it was unmistakable. Overmorphs began hatching with grotesque noises as Darkness shouted a warning. Heads, they're coming. He and Witchblade braced for attack. Witchblade accused the figure of choosing to terrorize them rather than kill them outright, hitting them with their worst nightmare for sport. Darkness agreed. Someone was playing with them. Witchblade mocked the voice. She knew it was Kenneth Irons, the Templar Knight, the man who once lost his hand trying to toy with her. Irons confirmed his identity, but claimed to be from the future. He said that in his time, humans worshipped xenomorphs as angels. Witchblade called it another lie. Irons taunted, saying in his time, she had already lost. Chapter 2. Hunters and Hungers. Darkness and Witchblade stood surrounded by facehuggers, suspended mid-air. Darkness warned that their enemy was tampering with their minds, making them see engineered illusions. He suspected Kenneth Irons was behind it, and reminded Witchblade that she knew Irons well enough to end him. Holding one of the facehuggers, Witchblade agreed to play along for now. This nightmare scenario perfectly fit Irons' twisted style. She demanded clarity on his warning that Earth would fall to the xenomorphs, and that they were powerless to stop it. Suddenly, a grotesque hologram of Irons appeared, taunting Witchblade and blaming her for a future where Earth had become an alien hive. As Darkness tore through the creatures with his powers, Irons' illusions became more overwhelming. Witchblade questioned how he was controlling their perceptions, but Irons only laughed, saying the truth would spoil the fun. Sarah relinquished full control to the Witchblade armor, letting it attack freely. But as she gave in, facehuggers swarmed and latched onto both her and Darkness. Irons laughed maniacally. Meanwhile, the Predators who had attempted to breach Irons' living spaceship were attacked by its defense systems. Some were killed. However, the female Predator broke through the hull and collapsed inside, wounded and exhausted from the battle. Witchblade then awoke, bound in cables and tubes,
as Iron's voice urged her to open her eyes. He told her that the nightmare, at least one of them, was over and her mind was returning. The ship, a sentient entity, had defended itself by swatting predators into space. Darkness hung unconscious beside her. Irons mocked him as Sleeping Beauty, noting he'd awaken soon. Both were suspended in a sensory illusion chamber. As reality closed in, alarms blared, and Irons grinned, savoring the shock that awaited them once they fully re-emerged into the real world.
Witchblade broke free from her restraints, slashing through the cables while cursing Irons for manipulating them. As Darkness regained consciousness, he slammed into the wall and demanded to know who was responsible for the beating. Witchblade figured the hologram must have originated nearby and located it. Darkness emerged from a chamber and taunted Irons. Irons warned them not to let his alien swarms colonize Earth, emphasizing that this time they were real, not virtual simulations. Witchblade, frustrated, told Darkness to keep a cool head, and he reassured her his mind was still sharp. She reminded him of an old memory involving Tony Comanara's place, hinting that if Darkness could access Irons the same way, they might win. Darkness deflected with humor, and Witchblade proposed a plan. As the Predator watched, Witchblade suggested that the mind which got them into this mess could get them out. They just needed to motivate it. Suddenly, the female Predator leapt through a wall. Witchblade was shocked and asked how she was brought there. She quickly approached her, trying to reason that they could either die separately or survive together. She emphasized that they were all hostages, on the same side. Darkness mocked the Predator's apparent attraction to the Witchblade armor. The Predator gave a grunt and fled from the scene. Right then, Darkness yelled at Witchblade to duck. A horde of xenomorphs swarmed in, screeching. Darkness admitted the part about alien swarms wasn't a bluff. Darkness and Witchblade entered a tunnel as the wave of creatures closed in. Nearby, one of the Darklings wandered alone, complaining about the stench. It slipped and fell into a pool of green sludge, only to be grabbed by a facehugger. In space, the Darkness shielded Witchblade from vacuum exposure. Witchblade and Darkness drifted outside the ship as they fought the xenomorphs. Darkness pondered whether it was him or the Witchblade that the Darkness armor was protecting. Witchblade managed to kick one xenomorph and steer themselves towards Irons' ship. Darkness and Witchblade drifted through space toward Irons' ship as a xenomorph pursued them. They made it inside just as the vessel began sealing itself. Witchblade remarked she'd scream later, probably every time she remembered this for years. As they landed, she noted the ship was rapidly repairing itself and they were losing their way in. Darkness wheezed, exhausted, and Witchblade warned Irons that if the Predators couldn't take trophies, they'd opt for kamikaze glory. She told him that if his ship gets torched from the sky, it wouldn't be able to rebuild. Witchblade, now furious, ignited her power and shouted that if Irons brought the gasoline, she'd bring the fire. She demanded he shut it down and meet them at the escape shuttle. Darkness asked one question: why? Irons replied with sarcasm, comparing them to roaches under a sink, and then revealed he wasn't physically aboard. He was controlling everything remotely and expected Predators to already be swarming his automated shuttles. As he initiated a 10-minute self-destruct countdown, Darkness and Witchblade darted off, cursing Irons. As the countdown ticked to 3:15, Witchblade and Darkness reached a sealed airlock and realized the Predators hadn't tried to breach it. Darkness reverted back to Jackie in the sunlight and struggled to open the airlock. He told Witchblade not to joke as he strained to force open a sealed hatch. Jackie broke open a pipe and prepared to face a xenomorph. As it attacked, the countdown reached the final minute. Witchblade urged Jackie to duck. Right then, the female Predator incinerated the xenomorph with a plasma blast. Darkness warned her not to go down into the lower decks. They weren't alone, as he spotted another Predator there. The female Predator jumped at them and moved toward the shuttle. With 10 seconds left, Darkness yelled for Witchblade to get inside. She staggered in. He closed the hatch, saying they'd fly when the ship exploded. But the female Predator jammed her gauntlet blade into the door, stopping it from sealing shut. The explosion hurled the shuttle back into Earth's shadow. Jackie noted it felt like night again, and changed back to darkness. Witchblade stood firm, calling out the Predator as sister, and saying this time it was just between them. But as the predator extended her claws and mimicked her voice, "Sisters," Jackie warned Sarah that she wasn't the target. Suddenly, a monstrous creature burst out, hissing. It wasn't a darkling, but something worse. A xenomorph darkling hybrid. The creature writhed like a living shadow, like the darkness itself, only twisted. I smiled ironically. Now why didn't I think of that? Chapter 3. Showdown in Space. The escape craft, set on a course toward Earth by Irons, was in chaos as a monstrous darkling xenomorph hybrid attacked from within. Witchblade, armored and furious, fought back and locked the creature, saying even the darkness's darklings weren't that ugly. One of the darklings warned her to watch her mouth. Darkness revealed the creature had been bred inside one of his darklings, within the darkness itself, and as such, it had boundless capabilities. Witchblade refused to dwell on the implications and attacked. As she cut the hybrid in half and hurled it into a wall, its acidic blood splashed onto her. Darkness leapt in, shielding Witchblade from the acid. But to their horror, the creature began to heal. Witchblade concluded it was because of the darkness's power. As Witchblade scrambled to find the ship's pilot controls, the female predator stood there, watching. Darkness said that the predator was targeting the Witchblade, and Witchblade snapped back that it wasn't for sale. The female predator cloaked itself. Right then, the dark alien lunged at Darkness with a feral scream. It tackled Darkness out of the room. Darkness knew from the beginning they were dealing with a different breed of monsters. Two savage darkling hybrids tore into the alien, and Darkness joked that the creatures couldn't decide whether to kill him or kiss the power it was using. That made their dark alien one unstable customer. As the fight raged, Darkness called out for Witchblade's help to steer the ship into the heart of the sun, to kill the dark alien. She answered, "Coming," as she dodged more attacks. The darklings cheered, shouting how they kicked alien butt. One remarked he'd seen bigger roaches back in Brooklyn. Witchblade warned Darkness to be careful, then complimented him, saying he was too smart to be on the wrong side of the law, while tapping at the controls. Witchblade kept trying the different combinations of the switches, but could not get the ship to move towards the sun. She accidentally moved it to hard left. The dark alien released its darkness power, and it slowly worked its way towards Witchblade, to kill her. But as the sun shone on their side of the ship, the dark alien fled. Also, Darkness turned back into Jackie. Jackie teased Witchblade about her choice to side with the law, and she replied she had planned to turn the predators and xenomorphs against each other. Fueled by rage, she declared it was time to find Irons. She reflected on how the Witchblade constantly whispered aggressive, violent urges, how it knew her darkest emotions and always pushed her toward them. But this time, something felt off. The voices were silent. Suddenly, Jackie tackled her to the floor. Danger had arrived. The female predator, whom Witchblade dubbed Sister Midnight, stood in front of them, combat ready. Witchblade wondered why her armor hadn't warned her. Had the Witchblade chosen a better host in Sister Midnight? Jackie launched a furious attack, but Witchblade shouted for him to stop. Sister Midnight swiftly struck him down. Witchblade asked if he was okay. Jackie said Sister Midnight was targeting her armor, and if she had to be taken, it had to happen now. Sister Midnight raised her cannon, but Witchblade calmly tried to talk her down, suggesting they team up against Irons. As she slowly disarmed her, Sister Midnight suddenly raised her blade to decapitate her. Jackie seized the cannon and fired. Sister Midnight cloaked and escaped. Witchblade screamed, "No," but Jackie defended his actions, insisting the predator was a threat. He bristled at being treated like a thug, while Witchblade offered peace to aliens. As they moved down a corridor, he reminded her he got them off the death ship and said they should trust him. While they tore through the floor, Irons appeared via hologram, mocking them for still playing his game. He dared them to destroy the ship before it turned Earth into a hive. Witchblade called his speech garbage and blasted the projection. She and Jackie agreed to stop following Irons' rules. Realizing the ship had rotated back to the night side, perfect for the darkness, Jackie transformed. Witchblade headed for the Predator's cannon. But Darkness vowed to end it. He said if the hull cracked, he would use the darkness to seal it. Witchblade asked if that was possible. Darkness smirked and said, "You don't want to know what the darkness can do." Darkness and Witchblade reached another level, where they were welcomed by the wrath of the dark alien. While they fought the creature, Darkness vibed on what a sick and enjoyable day it was.
He could let his killer instincts out. Witchblade was thrown aside while darkness kept punching holes into the dark alien, but it kept healing itself. As Witchblade fell through a shaft, darkness screamed. Only the darkness can put pain in the darkness. Falling down, Witchblade spotted Sister Midnight standing on the other end. She caught Witchblade. She meant her no harm. Then she threw Witchblade right up the shaft. Witchblade jumped up and started tearing through the dark alien, but it started consuming her. Meanwhile, Sister Midnight crawled up the shaft. Darkness screamed, "Sarah, save yourself!" But the dark alien sucked her right into itself. Just her hand jutted out. Sister Midnight had arrived. She brought her hand close to Sarah's, and the Witchblade armor flowed from Sarah to her body. Darkness screamed at Sarah to hear him. He said that they had to take the dark alien from inside, while Sister Midnight did it from outside. Darkness was pulled in. As Sister Midnight attacked the dark alien with the Witchblade armor, Darkness unleashed his powers from inside. The creature burst open into pieces. Darkness helped Sarah up, as she felt the cold of space. As the dust settled, Witchblade reflected on her father's lessons, saying, "A cop could do worse than die on her watch." She felt no guilt. They got the bad guy, and she was coming home to him. Jackie might not understand. He'd been on the wrong side too long. But she understood Sister Midnight, who gave everything for something that mattered. When Sister Midnight handed back the Witchblade armor to Sarah, they were connected, if only for a second. Witchblade knew how Sister Midnight wanted to be honored. She activated the detonation device in her armor. And though it unnerved Jackie, he helped. They escaped in the shuttle. They watched how Sister Midnight detonated and took Iron's ship with her. Sarah chose not to return home, recalling why she became a cop. Jackie and Sarah started a friendly banter with each other, while she addressed her father in her mind. "Dad, did you ever meet my friend Jackie? Thanks for watching, you beautiful beasts." That wraps up the carnage, the blood-soaked, limb-tearing chaos. If you enjoyed this brutal crossover, go buy the books. Go support the comic book industry and the incredible creators who keep this madness alive. And if you love what we do, support our channel too. Hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and share the word. ComixFM marks the X factor in comics, where crossovers clash and legends bleed. Till next time, stay savage, stay geeked.